I get on a flight. I'm in Phoenix, and because of how things work out, I'm at a restaurant because the way that the rides are working out, it was like a 3 or 4 hour gap. And I'm like, perfect, I'll study. So I'm at a restaurant, I eat my food, I got my glasses on, I'm all in my computer, I'm studying. There's no one else in this restaurant at this point. It's just me and my computer and in my own little world. And I hear someone say, "Do you want to ride?" Like in my ear. And I'm like, what the? It happened so fast that I was in the middle of like criminology, like deep into criminal justice system. And I turn, and the audacity that probably showed on my face. And then as I see M, the audacity just like melts away. I was trying to tell M that nobody can surprise me.
Welcome to I Am Her. We're all about glitter, grit, and grace. This is The Shift, where spiritual meets spicy, F-bombs meet forgiveness, and shadow work occasionally throws glitter.
Welcome, everyone, to I Am Her, Season 2, Episode number 10. Episode number 10. Whoop, whoop.
Woot, woot.
Awesome. We took a little spring break when everybody else did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
it was great.
We really did take a break, and we did some pretty good stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to share what we did on our break and just fill y'all in on life. And we really have no rhyme or reason to today's episode. We're just free flowing. We're just talking about what we've been up to.
Free falling. Ooh, 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 ooh. Is that the right song? Is that how it goes?
Yay! So, Thylene, what have you been up to the last couple weeks during our spring break?
What we're going to talk about today, and then just trying to keep it all together, right? For my life, I've been creating peace and structure. I feel like I'm in a time in my life where I don't necessarily want inconsistency and like not knowing where the money's coming from next, or it just not knowing. I've been craving some stability, which is not normal for me. Usually I'm really good in the chaos, and I don't know, since I've done my healing and I have gotten to a point where life is always going to be a journey, like it's never going to end, but I've gotten to a point where I have some systems in place. I have some tools. And so as things come up, I have learned to move through them with my tools. And in doing so, it's created this peace and calm that's allowed me to kind of expand my thought processes, I think. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've just been like, okay, what do you really want? What is it that fills your cup, but also that gives you some like calm in your finances, calm on the front end, reflecting and adjusting with a lot of the work that we've done and figuring out where I'm at right now, because we started a whole new year, right? And when I say every single thing changed, right? In love, in finance, in home, in work, in goals, like goals completely shifted. So yeah, I feel ready. I feel at peace. And that's just what I've been working on, is coming to a realization that it's okay to have structure, to not always be on the go. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, that's exciting. A lot of things changing. A lot of the same, just finding peace, finding structure, finding peace within myself, and just really focusing on what matters, and still helping people publish their books, and which is super duper exciting for me. I started about I don't know, 2 months ago, I think, that I started sharing more on social media my personal story so that I can start to heal, which I think is funny because I want to also be more comfortable in front of the camera, which is ironic because we literally have this podcast. But I think it's a different space that I want to be comfortable in. And it's been very healing for me to be able to do that. And yeah, that's been really good. Had a lot of conversations with my husband about what our future looks like. And I think we've decided, like, within the next year, we are going to probably just travel around. We're not going to be located to one specific spot. We've just been talking about a lot of that stuff. So anyway, just been doing that and just keeping busy. It's been good. Weather's been good. I really have nothing to complain about. Yeah.
Bomb.com.
Okay. Let's get into the fun part of our trip. Let's talk about what we did together, because this was a pretty big thing for both of us. On Wednesday, March 25th, I had made the very last minute decision to attend a healing retreat in Sedona, Arizona. And I decided to go because I had so many things that had been just built up inside of me. And I knew I needed to find a way to release them, because if I didn't, they were just going to expand and get bigger and really affect my life in so many ways. And so I decided that I was going to do that. Long story short, I only told my supervisor and a couple other people that I was going. You were not one of those people that I told.
I was not privy to this information in any way, shape, or form.
No, because you were going to be there as well.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that I had decided to go. And so Friday morning, I flew out to attend this retreat. And I met up with the person that was going to transport me. And we got to Phoenix, where you were. And I feel like you might tell this story better. So anyway.
Okay.
I can
right now.
Yeah, I wanted to surprise Thylene. And so she'll tell you how that happened. Yeah.
So I text Em to see if she was ready to record our last episode, because we were having like an off, okay, not this day, but maybe this day, but I'm busy this day, which doesn't happen very often because we're pretty good about prioritizing the podcast. And she's sorry, can't. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. It is what it is. We'll figure it out. We've never done that before. But hey, it's cool. Like, we have our stuff too. And sometimes we just have to like give ourselves grace and take a break. And that's okay. Like, we do this. What type of people would we be if we preach on our episodes all the time about setting your boundaries and giving yourself grace if we didn't implement that when it mattered most, which is when we're on tens and we have a million things going on, and the last thing we want to do is force ourselves into doing our podcast. You know what I mean? And so I just was like, okay, like, not a problem. I love you. Do what you got to do. Basically is how that ended. So I get on a flight. I'm in Phoenix. And because of how things work out, I'm at a restaurant because the way that the rides are working out, it was like a 3 or 4 hour gap. And I'm like, perfect, I'll study. So I'm at a restaurant, I eat my food, I got my glasses on, I'm all in my computer, I'm studying. There's no one else in this restaurant at this point. It's just me and my computer and in my own little world. And I hear someone say, "Do you want to ride?" like in my ear. And I'm like, what the? it happened so fast that I was in the middle of like criminology, like deep into criminal justice system. And I turn, and the audacity that probably showed on my face. And then as I see the audacity just like melts away. I was trying to tell that nobody can surprise me. One, because I'm really intuitive. And two, because I just don't, you can't. I just am I pay attention. And so there's only 2 times I've ever been surprised. And it was like, I think like my 34th birthday or something like that. I had a surprise party that I had no idea. And then another birthday party. So it's hard to surprise me. And so the fact that was pulled off blew my mind. I had no idea. And I was so freaking excited because M's like my partner in crime. And it's always better for us, I think, when we go together for these experiences, especially when we come back and we kind of unload on the podcast. There's a better understanding. There's less of one side talking and we're like sharing the experience with you guys as opposed to me talking about it and her relating to it. But also for our own healing, for more than just that. But I had no idea. And it was probably the best thing ever since sliced bread. And I was so excited to see her. And I don't know where you want to pick up from there, but you got me.
Yeah. So Wednesday, I got notification that there was room for me to attend this retreat if I could get there. And I was like, I just don't know how. I don't know if I should. And I went back and forth. But I knew, like I said, I hadn't even planned on attending this until this opportunity literally showed up on Wednesday. And I was like, I don't know. I don't want my boss to be upset with me for taking so much time off at a moment's notice. Within 3 hours of me going back and forth in my own brain, I found a way to get there. And then I was like, you know what? I have to put myself first. This is super important. I just have to do this because I've been feeling a lot of different emotions recently and I didn't really know how to process them. And I notified them that I would be attending and I said, but I don't want to tell Thylene, and there was a few other people that were attending also within the group. And they were asking me before if I was going. I said, no, I'm not able to. And I said, I don't want to tell anybody, but specifically, I don't want to tell Thylene. And so I went to work on Thursday morning and I went in my supervisor's office and I started crying and I explained to her that I made the last minute decision to go to Arizona and I would be leaving the following day and I would be taking the whole week off. And I said, I have to do this for my mental health because I have so much to heal from my childhood. And when I say childhood, I'm talking up through my 20s because you're still a child. You're not fully developed.
Babies raising babies. That's what,
yeah,
what we did.
And so I told my supervisor, I said, I'm so sorry for leaving you guys last minute because I know this kind of puts a lot on you guys. And she understood. She said, you do what you need to do for yourself. And I had no intention of going in there crying because I don't love to cry in front of people unless I'm really comfortable around you. And I just started bawling. And she said, no, you go do what you need to do. And like I said, I got on the plane Friday morning, met up with my ride, and then we went to get Thylene, and then we completely surprised her. So originally when I wasn't going to go, I had actually had dinner plans on Thursday. So that's why I couldn't reschedule our original podcasting recording day because I had dinner plans. Then the dinner plans canceled. But by the time they canceled, I had made the decision to go. So I was like, I'm not going to call her and tell her that I can record on Thursday now because then I just want to surprise her. And yeah, that was
and
that.
It worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So We spent some beautiful days together with a group of wonderful people. Hypnotherapist was there, and we learned a lot about, I meditated for the first time in my life. And
I didn't know that was your, okay, so tell me, because I've been meditating for years now, like what, if you're okay with stopping here and just sidestepping a little bit, what was that like for you? What stood out for you? And what was your fears and stuff? Because I know when I first started meditating, I was like, this shit is dumb. This shit is so dumb. But I also didn't have a certified hypnotherapist for my first time either. So I was just like listening to YouTube music and I'm like closing my eyes, like, anything's supposed to happen?
I will tell you, I did go in with some preconceived notions because you see what on TV and in the movies and everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know that I want to sit there like this and hum because that's all you know. And I was very pleasantly surprised when we did the group meditations and they walked us through the process because it didn't seem as daunting as I thought it was going to be going into it. I've been on a lot of Zooms and classes and stuff like that where there's short meditations for 2 minutes before they start. These meditations were more for really digging deep into yourself and pulling out what you needed to heal. And I didn't know what to expect from that. And so being able to do that several times a day, every single day, for one, it changed my perspective on it. And for two, it made me understand why people do it. And it also made me realize that there's not only one way to do it. Because when she was teaching us how to do it, she was saying, okay, you can either watch the fire, you can watch the flame on the candle, or you can close your eyes. However, whatever feels comfortable to you. The meditations were really insightful for me because I realized a lot of things. I was able to go back early to my childhood, to the times when I was the most happy. Like one of the times I was talking to my mom on the phone just a little bit ago about this too. I was telling her about the experience and I said we were told to just think of a time, most likely when we were young, because that's when everything is going right in your life. You don't really have many cares or things like that. And you're curious when you're a child. And so the earliest memory I could think of is when I was 3 years old and I had finally tied my shoe for the first time. My mom was out in the garden and I remember walking out. We had a huge yard and I walked out on the front porch and my little 3-year-old body thinking I could throw my foot up so that my mom could see it from over the back 50. There's no way she could have seen it, but I was so excited. I was like, I tied my shoe. And she's, yay, good for you. I'm so proud of you. Cheering and screaming and everything. And it made me realize that's where I needed to go back to, because after that, I started to get older. And that's when the self-esteem and the self-confidence issues came up. And then I started to not feel as confident to be excited about things. And then when I got into kind of the most hellish parts of my life in my 20s, there was no way on God's green earth that I was going to shout that I was excited about anything, because I felt like I needed permission to do that with the situation that I was in. And so that was a pretty profound experience to me, to just in that meditation to go back to that 3-year-old self and just realize I need to carry that with me all the time. And I also came to the realization that a lot of my childhood wounds came from the lack of relationship with my dad. And all this came through meditation, which is wild to me. I loved my dad, and I know my dad loved me, but we just weren't close. He just didn't show me affection. And I went through so many cycles in my life where I was looking for that affection, and I just could never seem to find it. And I learned through this meditation that satisfaction has to come from me. It can't come from anyone else. And that was really healing for me. I did a lot of crying at this retreat. Everyone did. Everyone had their own moments. And of course, I'm not going to share them because it was very private for everybody. And yeah.
It's fucking incredible. Like, the fact that you can sit here and say, I've never meditated before, but I was able to drop in and have so many realizations. And what it breaks down to is everything is already within us. We just bury it. We bury it under conditioning. We bury it under expectations. We bury it under societal norms. We are conditioned and molded, especially as women with daddy issues, which I also had or have. I guess we'll always have those, like, fair share of daddy issues. But like, you literally in 1 week were able to uncover all of those things. And not only that, but have a supportive group around you that understood and held space for that, to give you a safe space to feel it, acknowledge it, and release it. Like, how
it was
cool.
It was pretty powerful. And then we had the group hypnotherapy sessions, which I had never done anything like that either.
I haven't actually done hypnotherapy ever either. So until
that was quite a learning experience and a learning curve for me. But again, it was very helpful because it really made me go internal. There was a lot of activities when it came to the group hypnotherapy about go to that inner child when you were happy or when the pain happened or whatever the case was for each individual person. And so that was really enlightening. And then I'm going to fast forward a little bit and then we'll back up again. But after you left, I had a one-on-one hypnotherapy session for the extra day that I was there. And after it was done, I asked the lady that was doing it, I said, is it weird that I literally don't even know what I told you? And she said, no, it's not weird at all. Because I remember some of the questions, but I don't remember what my responses were. I have no idea, but she told me it was very powerful. And I said a lot of things that she could tell opened myself up.
Okay, so how does that, because I've never done a one-on-one. All I've ever done hypnotherapy-wise is, and I think that's what I need to set up. I really do with her want to do a one-on-one. I think I do better in one-on-ones than groups, to be honest.
Yeah. So how this was different was because when we did our group hypnotherapy sessions, she didn't ask us specific questions. In the one-on-one, she asked specific questions to our personal experience from all the notes she was taking during the group
for
sessions.
The week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So then did she explain to you, was it recorded, or like, how do you know what was said then?
She does not record the actual session simply because she said, you don't want to hear back what you said because you're releasing so much. And if you listen to it again, you're going to just
pull it back in. Yeah.
And
that makes sense. Yeah. I'm curious I definitely am going to schedule that. And hopefully she is slated to come on the pod.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have her on soon so she can give like more in-depth information on what that looks like. Em and I obviously are nowhere near experts when it comes to hypnotherapy, but I can say that for me, I only did the group ones. I had an event for work I came home for, so I didn't do the extras. But what I did go through brought me back to, I wasn't as young as you. I was probably like 12 or 13. And it was a time where someone was commenting on, it was like right when you start getting boobs, like probably 12, 13. And obviously it's like a weird place to be in because your body's changing. And I felt pretty. I never felt weird about it. I loved that I just don't ever remember being like, oh my God, what's happening? I was like, cool. And so I had gotten this like spaghetti shirt. It was like my first, you know, the little straps. It was my first little spaghetti shirt, but it was like a thicker spaghetti. It wasn't like a little skinny
Not
rod,
like angel
right?
hair. It was like fettuccine.
Literally, that's a really great way to say it. And it was like light blue. I remember this top because I loved it so much. And it was my first bra I've ever had. And so I'm wearing this bra, and obviously like underneath you can tell, or it would slip a little bit and I'd have to push the straps back in. We all have been there. And this person, I could hear them across the way. And this person is someone who I like looked up to. And I don't know, I've always been extra aware. That's just it's part of who I am. Had made comments about how she just wants to show off boobs, that she has boobs now. She just wants to show off that she is wearing a bra. Duh. It's like the coolest thing ever that my body's changing and now I get to join the women. Like, instead of wrapping me in love and support, it was tearing me down. And so even though I didn't let it affect me that day, obviously I never forgot it. Because we're 30 years later, almost like 28 years later, and I'm sitting, like, that's what I was brought back to in that meditation. And then immediately I start bawling, right? And there's no tissues around, and I don't want to bother anybody else during their own experience. And so there's paper towels because there's a kitchen like next to us. And so I grab paper towels and I'm literally like, you know, when you're sick and you shove the paper towel up and then the paper towel's like full and I'm like, what is this shit? And so I take it out and I'm like, I gotta throw it away. And I reach back and I like lift the lid a little bit and I put it in there and I'm like, God, now I'm gonna have to get another paper towel. And then it closes and you can hear it.
Oh,
and everybody.
I didn't know it was the lid. I thought something dropped.
No, it was the lid to the trash can that I thought like I had it to a place where it wasn't going to be loud and I was wrong. And so everybody jumps, like visibly jumps, which if you've ever meditated before, coming in and out of that can be traumatizing. Like when you're somewhere else in your head or in your experience and something, it feels unsafe sometimes. And this is another part of my biggest fear is like disrupting people. And because I was always a people pleaser and I was always like, I never would say anything or do anything to like ruffle feathers. I would just hold it in. And so it was literally like later when I talked about it with the facilitator, we talked through it and she goes, I could tell you were in your own personal hell. Because when that noise happened, I literally crumpled, like physically crumpled, put my hands like in my face and cried. I had to excuse myself and I went to my room and I had this panic attack. But it's what my body needed. I had to release whatever it was that was, because I don't feel that way anymore. But I was taken back to a time that obviously my subconscious holds on to. And when your subconscious holds on to something, that's programming that takes over your conscious mind quite a bit. And we just don't recognize it. And so obviously that needed to move through me energetically and release, because I was mortified. And after that, I didn't have anything else that was that traumatic again, which is really good for me, at least. But it was really important, I think, that I released that little girl that just wanted to be loved and wanted to be liked and wanted to be respected in the space that I was in, that maybe I just never felt. And it's similar to you, Em. We have different situations, different stories. But at the end of the day, inherently, as human beings, as women, we want to feel respected. We want to feel safe. We want to feel loved. We want to be in communication. The list goes on. And because we have daddy issues, right? I also found a lot of my comfort, or I kept false comfort, right? Seeking comfort in men who don't deserve my attention, for one. And so being in a group of people who aren't, here's the thing. When the trash can slammed, after the meditation, the people I was around could have said behind my back, or like to each other, even with me like still being able to hear, they could have been like, I can't believe her. God, can she just get her shit together? She made noise. I can't believe she did that. Can she just sit the fuck down and chill out? That's in my head when I was having my panic attack. That's what was happening. And then one of the facilitators had brought like a piece of paper that we were supposed to fill out after into my room. But I'm still like not ready to look at anyone. And so all I hear is footsteps coming, because my room was right next to where we all like did our stuff every day. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm trying to get my story together while I'm having a panic attack, right? There's another part of me that's getting my story together, that's getting ready to apologize, that's getting ready to just explain what happened and why it happened. And I realized, what the hell am I doing? And so I just stayed small and just went through and let the panic attack like pass. And I came back out, which I would have never done before. If I had done something, I would have just hid in my room the rest of the night. But I came back out and just went through the rest of everything for the rest of the night.
No judgment either.
Nobody, all of the stories that I told myself in my head that would happen were just that. It was my stories, my own judgment of myself. It wasn't anybody else. Everybody was fine. They were not phased. And the facilitator was able to create, because she had this safe space, she was able to let people know you're okay. And because we trusted her, it was okay. And that is the definition of a great facilitator, is someone who can take the situations, the ups and the downs that happen in these groups, because they do happen, and keep it safe and calm and hold the capacity of the room for any situation that might come up for you. So that was like, once I was able to calm down and whatever and talk to her later, like far into dinner, I just explained to her what I went through, and she's, yeah, I could tell. And everybody gave you space to let you like go through that. Whereas when you're not in a space where people understand or support, they come in very toxic ways, where I would have had to have that story in my head prepared mid panic attack, because I knew someone would come and touch me and want to hold me and help me and validate me. I don't need that anymore. I'm in a place in my life where I don't need validation. I don't need your support. And if I do, I'll ask for it. If I need something, I'll say, hey, right, person that I trust and love and who's been in my life and knows my story, I need this. Do you have the capacity for it? And then it's up to you to say yes or no. I love you, but I just don't have the capacity to give you what you need right now. And if you had said that, I'd be like, okay, that's totally fine. And I would go take a deep breath and do what I need to do. But I feel like just in that little story. So there's so much we could deep dive into about like friendships, about toxicity, about giving each other space. You don't have to, when someone cries, you don't have to, you can just be with them. You don't have to touch them. You don't have to talk them off the ledge. It's what I've learned is it's better to let them process, because everything does pass. Jamie Bond says it's 90 seconds. And typically when I experience things, it depends on big T, little t, right? Big trauma, little trauma. It depends on how big or how little that trauma is, on how long it passes. And I say the same thing about this is yes, the 90 seconds is true most of the time, but nobody gets to tell you, and these are two very different things, right? Grieving or whatever. Nobody gets to tell you how long you can grieve or how long you can be sad. But as a rule of thumb for myself, what I do is I give myself 24 hours. Okay, this happened. I'm going to sit on my couch. I'm going to Netflix for all night. I'm going to eat whatever the fuck I want. I'm not like ice cream, whatever it is. I'm going to eat whatever makes me feel okay. And then tomorrow when I open my eyes, this new day, and I'm going to try again, and I'm going to take a deep breath and just go for it. 24-hour rule. I feel like that was a lot.
The whole experience was a lot. I think when you have, the most powerful thing I realized is every person that attended, we were all there for the same purpose, but we all had our own reasons. We all had our own things that we brought to the table to work through. But it was just so beautiful because we could bounce ideas off of each other, and we just held space for each other, which to me, being in a space like that, like you said, had you not been in a space like that, you probably just would have gone and hid for the rest of the night. But because we were in a place like that to where you felt comfortable enough to come back without that judgment, I cried several times, and I knew I would going into it. And I was okay with that because every person in the room had their moments also. And nobody held back. Everybody experienced it in different ways. I came to the realization throughout this process that I have an extreme fear of rejection. And a lot of that does come from my dad not telling me he loved me. I knew it, but I remember him telling me it when I was 4 and then not again until I was 16 when I had my first miscarriage. I was having a conversation with one of the facilitators about, she was encouraging me to maybe create like a 3-week online course for the writing program that I developed, the Soul Word Story Method. Immediately my whole body just I felt so much panic because my first thought was, nobody's going to sign up for that. Who would want to listen to me? But that came from my fear of rejection. And literally everybody in the room was like, oh, I'll sign up. I'll sign up. And it just made me feel so good. And it made me realize again that all of that was just stuff that I had built up in my head from my own experiences. It was all justified, but I also had the ability to let it go. And coming out of this experience, I have decided that after I get back from Costa Rica in a couple weeks is when I'm going to really focus on launching the 3-week course. Because I'm like, what the fuck am I so afraid of? If one person signs up, then one person signs up.
Yeah. We all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was really actually a cool thing to experience, to watch you literally break it down to your deepest, darkest fear and then have that shattered so immediately and so fully, and watch you be like, they just said that. It was the coolest thing to experience, like to be a part of, because we're our own worst critics. We're our own worst enemies. They say keep your enemies close. What about the enemy within you? You keep the closest, and you have to break that barrier. And also, like, you don't get rid of the enemy. You just learn to love your dark and your light. You learn to move through them simultaneously because you need both to survive, right? You can't be completely without your dark, and you can't be completely without your light. It's about balance. It's about balance of soul, balance of mind, balance of love. Everything has its balance. And when you get imbalanced is when you get these negative thoughts, these negative self-talk, right? And then you live there because there's no one in your head to be like, bitch, shut the fuck up. This is what's actually happening. You have to work to get there. For me, that's why I started my affirmation business, is because I had to, I'm a visual person. I had to have something on my mirror that I could look at physically and read, because otherwise I wasn't going to change the voice inside my head. And after I had done it for week after week, I didn't need that specific sentence anymore. I didn't need that affirmation because I would notice that throughout the day, I was already telling myself that without being prompted at that point. And I'm like, holy shit, it works. Yeah. People think it's so small and insignificant and whatever. It's not, I promise you, it's not. And taking time for yourself, there's so many people that I've interacted with recently that, listen, who am I to say how you spend your time? How I spend my time and what fills my cup is not what's going to fill your cup. So I don't get to sit here and say what you should, could, or need to do. But what I would challenge people to do is really sit with themselves and take away everything. Visualize yourself in a room that's empty and start from nothing.
That was actually one of our questions, was if you had no expectations, no roles, no
exactly like that.
What would you build?
Take it all away
from zero.
What would you build from zero? But with that question, it's like, what would you build? What I'm saying is, who are you? Who is your identity? So if you take everything in that same exercise and remove it, and you're blank and there's nothing there, that's your identity. That's who you are. And you deserve to have a core, a passion, whatever that looks like to you. Something that came up after I got back was like, I get my nails done. I get my lashes done. That's self-love. I'm not saying that these people told me it was self-love, but that was part of the talk, was most people would argue that those things are self-love things. And I'm like, listen, Linda, I've been getting my nails done since I was 16. It's a chore. It is not fun for me to go sit in a chair for 2 hours while they do my nails. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good. Pedicures are slightly better, but they take time that I just don't have. I would rather not. But when I get my toes done, I don't have to worry about them for another 4 to 6 weeks. To me, it's a chore. That's not self-love. But to someone else, that might be like their thing. That might fill their cup. That might really be the one thing that they do. And that's fine if that happens to be the thing that fills your cup. But my point is, landing the plane on this, if you say that your self-love is getting your nails done, but it does feel like a chore, but you don't feel like you can say that it's a chore because societally and majority says that it's a self-love thing, reevaluate and realize that it's okay that you get your nails done and it's not a cup filler for you. It's okay that it's not a cup filler for you and you still do it. Right? Yeah. You don't have to explain who, what, where, when, why you do it. And that's my point. Pay attention and really reevaluate the things that you do, the things that you consider that are make you full. Because I can almost guarantee, if you haven't done a ton of work on yourself, if you haven't been super aware, most of the things that you consider filling your cup are you trying to convince yourself that you're filling your cup. And that's where the work starts. Because I had to tear all that shit away and be okay with the fact that if I go get my hair, nails, and lashes done, it doesn't fucking fill my cup, but I'm still going to do it. Tell me otherwise. But it took me a long time to be able to say that, like, out loud, because I thought that was what it was supposed to be. I didn't know any different. That's my point, is strip it all down and rebuild it however the fuck you want to rebuild it. Get some affirmation cleans from my store, pop them up on your mirror and say them every morning. You can do like money affirmations if that's what you're working on, self-love affirmations, right? Like career, whatever it is that you need to reshape or want to move towards, put it in front of you and look at it every day. You can retrain your brain, I promise. We do it all the time, conditioning societally. It's just negative. It just happens to fall on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, 3 experiences that I want to share, and then you can close out with if you have any more to share. But so one of the issues, and I've talked a lot about this on several of our episodes, is money blocks, because I was so self-conscious and I had such a poor self-image, and the way that I was raised, the religious framework that I was raised in, taught me to just do things for other people out of the kindness of my heart. And I didn't feel like I was worthy of asking for any money for things that I was offering to people. And I've really been working on that this last year. And that was one of the things that I took internally with me to this. I didn't speak a lot about it, but several people that were there already knew. And it's one of those you just can't make this shit up type things. So as this was going through my head with the fear of rejection and the money blocks, it's the slight ones that were still there, an opportunity presented itself to me while at the retreat. And it was just such an amazing confirmation to me that when you shift your frame of mind, then things will work out the way that they're supposed to work out. So that was one of the things that happened to me. And then a couple other things that I want to share happened on the day that you were gone. But when I lived in Arizona back in 1995 for a short time, my husband at the time, we lived in Phoenix. And I really wanted to go to Slide Rock State Park. And I was not able to go before we relocated back to Washington. And so anyway, on this retreat, an opportunity presented itself because it's about 20 minutes outside of Sedona. And so we all gathered as a group and we went. And it was so amazing to be there because when I was living in Phoenix, I had postpartum depression. It was right after I had my first daughter. But I didn't know it was postpartum depression. And that even made me more sad that I didn't get to experience that while I was there. So this time when I went, it was even more special because I was able to go as a healed person rather than someone that was in a place I didn't know what to name it.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it was just so amazing. It was a gift to be able to go to a place that I never got to visit, but now under these circumstances, when I was there on a healing journey, to go to the place I wanted to go was just like so amazing. And I tell you, Sedona could not have been a better place for this retreat. We went up, and Thylene, and anybody listening, go to Sedona and go to the Vortex because it is fucking wild.
Didn't we?
No, we did
like
not.
The actual tour. So now we have to go back. You and I have to go back together, just us.
We had such an amazing guide that took us to the top of the vortex, but at the top, oh my gosh, just tears, because you can literally feel the energy. And he took some of those dowsing rods up there, and he was showing us, like, there's a crack in the rock, and it just goes straight across. And on this line, every time he would cross over it, he was holding up the dowsing rods, and they would go inside. And we all took turns, like, holding the rods, but literally crossing these couple different areas on top of this vortex. It was so fucking powerful, and literal tears. Before we went, everybody says that Sedona is an energetic healing place, but I was like, okay, I guess I'll see for myself, because people can say that about any place they love, right? But there is no mistake. There is no joke. Sedona is a healing place. Granted, it's very touristy, but it's very healing, and I recommend it to anyone. If you're looking for some sort of healing in your life, go to Sedona, take the tour, go up to the top of the vortex, because you will not leave the same person.
We need to get that on the books to go back, because now I'm sad that I missed it. But everything happens for a reason, and I believe that it will happen when it's supposed to for me. But now it's on my fucking radar.
Yes,
to go back.
It's a must. And it was such a beautiful bookend to such a amazing healing retreat. Just having that powerful spiritual release, that moment at the top of the vortex, just to bring it all together. Like, at the very end of the retreat, you're like, okay, this is beautiful. Everything just came together, and everybody that was up there was changed. Everybody.
That's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm glad you got to experience that. You deserve it.
Yeah.
You really do.
It's great.
I feel, okay, so where we went wasn't the top then? Like our day one?
Oh, no. This was on the Jeep. You had to take a Jeep to get there. You couldn't.
Oh, you couldn't even get up there. Okay, cool. All right, noted. I do feel very strongly that people should have said very cautiously, because everyone has the gift of choice. But I do think it's worth your while to put yourself out there. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, in the sense of in a healing space. Go with a group. There are so many, even local. Like, you don't have to even go to Arizona, although you should. But yeah. I'm just saying, especially in the Pacific Northwest, like, you can find some really cool people that have really cool gifts, or even maybe they don't talk to dead people or have dowsing rods or have something, but they just have that energy, and being in their space, having a conversation, it takes one shift for you to really find some movement in your healing journey. For me, when I started, there wasn't as many, it wasn't as popular. And I felt like I was desperately clawing my way up the healing journey. Now you can literally go on Facebook Marketplace and look at who's in your area. Be aware, be cautious, right? There are a lot of spammers and things like that. I would not recommend going on and just spending like $5,000 and going, like, really do your research.
I do feel like every area there's even some places that recently opened up here in Laramie, or maybe they've been open the whole 9 years I've been here. I don't know. But I've recently discovered that there are places here in Laramie and then down in Cheyenne, which is only about 45 minutes away, that are in that healing space. And so just seek it out, because they are great resources for you. And then after you start to learn about We also learned about the chakras, and we learned all the things, and all of that can play a part in your healing journey. And it's not just about being spiritual. It's about mental health. It's all connected. So seek out those people. And you may have even people in your immediate circle that you don't know because you haven't talked about it before.
And
you met somebody on the plane.
I did. Yeah. That was really cool because it was like, we didn't even ask for each other's numbers. And this is something that I found out a long time ago, is that some healing just happens. Some conversations just happen because they're meant to happen. And you leave feeling like you've closed a chapter or you've gotten something out of it. We didn't need each other's phone numbers because we were what we were to each other. I gave her some information and talked through some things, and then vice versa. And that was it. And at the end of the flight, we got off, and it was like, I'm so glad that we got to meet. I'm so glad we got to meet. And that was it. And it was a beautiful thing. And it was what it was when it was. But also, I do want to say that whenever you said, oh, I don't know, maybe they've been in Laramie like forever. I don't know. That is something that it's eye-opening for you to say that, because there's an exercise that we do. I think I've talked about it before, where you're asked to look at everything that's green in the room, and then you close your eyes and you're asked what was red. You will see things when you're ready. When the energy aligns, you'll see it.
All right. I hope you all enjoyed our journey back to Sedona. It was very powerful. It was very life-changing, I think, for both of us, and highly recommend just finding your own path, finding your own way to heal, find what needs healing, and just put yourself first. That's what's most important. I don't think we need to do a vibe check because I feel like our whole episode was a vibe check.
A fucking vibe is what it was. As you're talking about dowsing rods, I'm like on Amazon. I'm like, buy dowsing rods. Add to cart.
Oh, you know what my mom told me, speaking of that? So I was telling her about the dowsing rods, and she said, you got a double whammy because your great-grandpa on my side and then your grandpa on your dad's side, they both were water witches, and they could actually do that with the rods and the metal pipes.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so now I want to look into that.
Water, what did she say?
Water witches, where they do that same thing like with the dowsing rods, except that's how they find water.
And that's so fucking cool. What?
Yeah, so apparently I have it on both sides.
I'm excited to see you tap into that. Like, just maybe, I don't know, as you meditate, just see where it takes you.
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm jealous. I'm adopted. I don't know what the fuck my history was.
Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. And just remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, take what resonates and leave the rest. And remember, somewhere, a lion in a Hawaiian shirt is cheering you on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.